From Action 2 News, this is your voice, your vote election coverage.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. The first of our election specials. We're going to lead you all the way up to November 6th.
Each night at 6:30, Your Voice, Your Vote will bring you the Wisconsin political news of the day, including in-depth profiles of the people trying to earn your vote.
Our hope is to help you become more informed about who's running so you can be confident when casting a ballot next Tuesday.
75 registered voters in the town of Rockland have already cast their ballot ahead of next week's election, a higher number than Julie anticipated.
I might run out of materials. I don't know.
In a sit-down interview, the governor repeatedly touted the state's record low unemployment as his biggest accomplishment. He also says many of the reforms from Act 10 to right-to-work legislation and even freezing tuition across the University of Wisconsin system have paid off for taxpayers.
We've seen more jobs, higher wages. We're outpacing nearly every other state in the nation in wage growth this year.
The younger Trump telling voters they can't let Democrats take control of Congress.
I mean, it'd be pandemonium. If they ever did what they want to do with taxes, my father put together the largest tax cuts in the history of this nation. They want to reverse that. They said they wanted double taxes. If they ever double taxes, this country would go into a recession.
Being it's his first re-election bid, Gallagher says he's still prepared to work with anyone to improve Northeast Wisconsin, even if voters don't choose him again.
I consider it an honor that I was able to do this. For the time, I'll consider it an honor if I'm able to continue doing it. But at the end of the day, it's not a career, right?
You do need an acceptable photo ID to vote. A Wisconsin driver's license works just fine. If a voter doesn't have a photo ID, they must be offered a provisional ballot and the opportunity to submit an acceptable ID within 3 days after the election.
$1 a gallon, that's just an absolutely ridiculous thing.
Just isn't true.
I've never said that.
Instead, Evers is looking to offer a break for Wisconsin's middle class.
Anybody that's earning an individual earning $100,000 or less will get a 10% increase, as well as families $150,000 and less. Those are the people that Scott Walker has failed in the state of Wisconsin.
I'm not rich. I don't have big super donors giving to my campaign. But the one thing I do have and what I have done is I've driven all over this district, mile after mile. I've knocked doors myself.
Here's our question of the day posed to you earlier today on social media. Which issue do you consider most important?
And then there's Eric, who may not have a specific issue driving him to the polls.
He's taking issue with third-party candidates Philip Anderson and Maggie Turnbull not being part of the governor's race debates. As he put it, are they afraid of people with common sense? We also are looking at the Attorney General's race as being another one of those really tight races. Josh Kaul in this latest poll is at 45% compared to Brad Schimmel at 47%. Do those numbers surprise you?
This was the race that you might have predicted would tighten. Both candidates are much less well known than the gubernatorial and Senate candidates are. And that's just a fact of the visibility of the Attorney General's office is not as great as the visibility of the governorship.
Republican Leah Vukmir called Democrat Tammy Baldwin a princess painkiller today. Vukmir tweeted the nickname along with a cartoon image that depicted Senator Baldwin today. Comes after the Democrat incumbent spoke openly about her mother's mental health issues and drug addiction.
Oh, I'm definitely ready for the ads to be over.
The campaigning has a lot of people wishing they didn't have a TV.
Can't even turn the TV on anymore without hearing absolute negative advertisement, as well as social media has been nothing but negative, so I'm happy to have it over with.
Despite being the daughter of Greek immigrants, Vukmir stands with President Trump and his desire to build a wall at the U.S.-Mexico border, believing immigration needs to be done legally.
See the chaos that's happening right now down at the border. Senator Baldwin is okay with that chaos.
On the issues, both men say health care, roads, the economy, education, and environment are their top priorities and the top concerns of voters they talk with. They also both say attack ads against them are distorting the truth, portraying Jacques as someone who doesn't care about the environment and Frostman as a tax and spend liberal.
I think I've made a dent. I think I've improved the business climate in this state. I think one of the reasons, we have so low unemployment in Wisconsin is the things I was able to do in Madison.
But there's still more he's looking to accomplish.
We still haven't dealt with welfare reform. We still haven't dealt with health care reform.
With so much anger over politics beginning in Washington, we asked Baldwin how she'll bridge that divide.
I think to solve problems, We have to recognize our common ground and our common humanity.
And our political expert, Charlie Jacobs, an associate professor of political science at St. Norbert College, joining us now. And we're going to start right in on that race, because this Vukmir-Baldwin race is the one that recent polling shows has the widest margin right now, with Tammy Baldwin about 11 points ahead. Does that surprise you?
It surprises me a little, simply because we saw Trump do so well here in 2016, and I think there was some sense that he was going to have some legs, that he was going to be able to carry some candidates across the line because he was reshaping the Republican Party. But I think what you're seeing is that the national race is turning on more than just the personality of the President of the United States and what happened in 2016. You see other Senate races where Democrats are doing very well in the Midwest, where Trump had done well in 2016.
Turning now to that unusual step by the governor to activate Wisconsin National Guard troops on Election Day. An executive order issued today authorizes troops to, quote, provide essential services to the Wisconsin Elections Commission. The order does not offer any more detail about the mission. The governor's office says the order allows the National Guard's cybersecurity team to help the elections agency if asked.
The cybersecurity team is more of a behind-the-scenes type entity. The only service members you might see out at the polls might be service members who are working, who are voting that day. But they are not there. They are not activated to assist at those polls.
WBC Executive Director Megan Wolf said today its software is secure from hackers and that the troops were activated so they'd be ready if needed.
We are a border city here with our sister city Marinette, and a lot of this is almost like one community, and a lot of Wisconsin citizens wind up in the Michigan courts.
A recent poll by the Detroit News shows that 57% of participants would vote yes to legalize marijuana in this state.
Both Tim Thomas and Todd Delane grew up in Brown County, raising families here, each working for the sheriff's office for more than 20 years. It's that experience that each candidate touts as preparing him to lead the agency.
Election day forecast does impact a lot of people, and right now it doesn't look so hot.
It doesn't. It looks rainy and it looks breezy. So let's check it out for you with Storm Center 2's Pinpoint Predictor.
Who's going to fight for working families?
Dan's uncle was Wisconsin's former United States Senator Herb Kohl. Dan says his uncle is a big influence in his desire to become a public servant. He's proud of his uncle's ability to solve problems and work across the aisle, which is something he hopes to also do.
Right now we have 9 different crews out in the field. They're getting ready for those live reports on the races and the issues that matter to you.
We don't expect to see Tony Evers until after the polls close and the results start pouring in. On the Republican side, Jason Zimmerman is covering Governor Walker's campaign. He joins us live from Waukesha. Jason.
Brittany, Republicans are hoping to hang on to the governor's seat as Scott Walker seeks his 3rd term and 4th win if you count that recall election. Whatever happens, he will address his supporters later on tonight here at the Ingleside Hotel in Waukesha.
Sarah Thompson continues our Your Voice, Your Vote coverage. She's covering Senator Baldwin's campaign in Madison. Sarah.
Within the next few hours, friends, family, and supporters of Tammy Baldwin will gather here at Monona Terrace in downtown Madison for what they hope is a night of celebration. Baldwin is looking for voters to re-elect her to a 2nd term in the U.S. Senate.
We don't expect to see any supporters here until about 7:30. That's when the doors of the Knights of Columbus here in Fond du Lac open. As you said, Congressman Glenn Grothman is running for his 3rd term here in the 6th District. Let's now head to Grafton, where Sharon Bajenda is live with the Dan Cole campaign. Sharon.
Thank you, Emily. I'm here at the Milwaukee Ale House in Grafton, where Dan Cole will be hosting his election party tonight. Cole hopes to unseat current Republican incumbent Glenn Grothman.
Aisha Morales joins us now live from Howard, where she's been following Representative Gallagher's campaign. Aisha.
Well, Bill, we are at the Rock Garden in Howard. This is where the Brown County GOP is hosting their election night viewing party. It doesn't officially start until 7:30. That's when we're going to start to see more people arriving. But we do have our very own Sierra Gillespie standing by, covering the other side of this race. Sierra.
Aisha, thanks. People will soon start trickling in here to Titletown Tap Room in Green Bay. They will be supporting Congressman Mike Gallagher's opponent, Democratic candidate Bo Lee Joyce.
He's getting ready for the results to come in tonight. There's a live picture now from our crews in Pewaukee with Governor Walker's headquarters and at Evers election night headquarters, that being in Madison.
Most of them were not even in the room at the time that this race was being called so early tonight, just after the polls closed.
We are hearing some more about the with problems at the polls today. Howard Village officials say voters at Green Bay Community Church given the wrong ballot for about an hour this morning. Village Director of Administrative Services Christopher Holtman tells Action 2 News the church is the polling place for several wards. The ballots were in the wrong tables until the voter notified officials. And confirmed Green Bay Press Gazette's report that 244 people were given the wrong ballots. We're waiting on a response to see if there's any way for that problem to be rectified. Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin is keeping her Senate seat, beating up Republican challenger Leah Vukmir by a comfortable margin. Senator Baldwin took the podium just moments ago in Madison.
Tonight, after more than $14 million worth of nasty attack ads, it means nothing because I had something that they didn't. You.
I do know it's a very important election, but I've been thinking about that for a while now. And I thought perhaps we say every 2 years that this is the most important election of our lives because there's something quintessentially American about that impulse.
To all of you for your love, for your support, for your energy that you gave me. I could not have done this without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
The race for governor is still very tight. Only a separation of several thousand votes between Walker and Tony Evers.
In Wisconsin, this is arguably one of the biggest races here in the state, but I'm told that a recount of the votes is not a guarantee.
We have yet to hear from Bo Lee Joyce's camp and their team about his concession speech. A lot of people here are expecting to hear him in the next, I would say, half hour or so.
There are still dozens of supporters. Now it's slowed down a bit, but they are waiting patiently for Dan Cole's arrival.
Again, if it passes, it would be legal to buy, sell, and grow marijuana in the state of Michigan with the correct permits.
I don't know how many ways you can say squeaker, but that's what we've got. I don't think we'll go to bed tonight knowing the outcome.
It's the swing state mentality of Wisconsin. We're independent voters. I think the voters, again, are looking at pocketbook issues. They're looking at their family issues and then making their selections based on what's best for they and their families.
Obviously paying attention around the country to a lot of my colleagues in the U.S. House, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I mean, some of my friends have been losing, but we hope that works out well.
And how likely it is, which way they'll go, I guess.
Yeah, so we have a couple of northern counties that haven't yet reported any precincts, including Menominee, which has traditionally gone very Democratic. But whatever gains that Evers makes there might be washed out by, say, Sawyer County and some others up north. An interesting thing is about a quarter, 20% or so of the precincts in Dane County haven't reported yet. Now, where they are obviously makes a difference. How many votes are in those precincts makes a difference. But that has to be somewhat disconcerting to the governor.
Let's take a look at those numbers. We do have the latest ones updated with 80% of precincts reporting. As you can see, Tony Evers is leading by about 13,000 votes. Hey, let's check in with the Scott Walker campaign in Pewaukee tonight. Jason Zimmerman is there live. Jason.
Cammie, this has been an exhausting night for people who've shown up at Scott Walker's election night party here in Pewaukee. 1 minute the crowd is cheering, the next minute they're booing as the results keep coming in back and forth, flip-flopping. No one here really knows what to expect.
Brittany Schmidt live in Madison with the Evers campaign. Brittany.
Bill, we have now hit the morning hours here in Madison as we wait for those ballots to be counted in the governor's race, which even at this hour remains extremely close. But the supporters here at Orpheum Theater for Tony Evers have not wavered. There are still a few hundred people here waiting for Evers to take the stage, if he takes the stage tonight.
And as I said throughout this campaign, it's time for a change. The voters of Wisconsin spoke, and they agree. A change is coming, Wisconsin.